I'm ridiculously overwhelmed. Like, really overwhelmed right now. And I thought a lot about how I wanted to do this video. Now, initially, my intention was just to kind of show you our Azure order. I just picked up a very large Azure order. Welcome to the channel. I'm Amanda. This is the Happy Homestead. I'm glad you're here. And so usually when I pick up my Azure standard orders, I like to share that, show you guys kind of what it's all about. What are some of the things I'm getting, my tried and true, you know, just repetitive purchases versus new things. But I couldn't get there. I could not get my mind there. And it's because I'm feeling weighed down, overwhelmed. I'm still in the midst of the great purge here at the house. I still have to get like the shoe corner done and the windows over there. I haven't even had a chance to do that. I started with our front pantry, which is the formal dining room in the house, which has converted to a pantry. I started there and it is a disaster because I didn't have enough time to finish. And then I went and picked up the Azure order, and our kitchen is basically unusable. We've been eating leftovers. I did make some food the other night that we've been having leftovers, and I've just been pulling things out of the freezer to eat. But I have got to get my kitchen back in working order today. So I'm going to show you everything I got with our latest Azure order, and I believe this is our largest order for 2023. I usually do a very large order towards the end of the year and a pretty decently large order maybe about a third of the way into the new year, right? So this is, I may do one more, I don't know, but it won't be big. This is hopefully the last order for the year, and my goal is to really just use everything. I don't like going to the grocery store. It used to be a thing for me. I loved it. Now I loathe it. I don't know why. I couldn't tell you. Maybe because the curtain has been drawn back for me on in the industrial food revolution, and just how industrialized and commercialized and operationalized everything is, rather than, you know, the way it should be, with slow food and local farms and growing your own food and preserving it at home. So maybe because that curtain's been opened up for me, and I see, when I walk in the store, I see everything for what it is, all the processed crap with the chemicals and the additives and the colors, that's why I loathe it. So I try to stock up here at home so I don't have to go as much. And I stock up from reputable places like Azure Standard, as well as the local farms and farmers markets. All right, let's just start with the island. I haven't even had a chance to really open everything yet. But this is 40 pounds of organic onions. Now, I have been buying onions because where I am in Zone 7B, North Carolina, I just can't grow this size onion where I am. These are fantastic storage onions. I imagine that they are grown in the upper northwest part of the United States. In fact, it may even say it. Yep, Washington State. I feel like they grow the best onions. And so I got 40 pounds of these. I usually buy them in 10-pound increments, and it will last maybe about 2 months. So the 40 pounds, I'm really expecting to last a good part of the winter and even into the spring. Now, one of the things I'm going to do today as we kind of work through what I've purchased is tell you and show you how I store a lot of this, because while this is all good and dandy to have 40 pounds of onions, how in the world do you store it and so that it is usable and it doesn't go bad? So that's one thing I'm actually going to start going through as we get through some of these other things. All right, next to the onions, I got 20 pounds of these organic ginger gold apples. They are also quite beautiful. And I have big plans for these. I intend to make maybe some apple pie filling, maybe not a whole lot, but maybe a couple of quarts of that, as well as slice and freeze dry. Slice, add some like cinnamon, and then have these as kind of sliced snacks like apple chips. That's the goal for a lot of these. I am also going to make some mead. We have honey, which I'll get to that in a second. And I got the apples, and I really want to make like some delicious fall flavored kind of like caramel apple mead honey wine. So that's on the docket too with these. Next is 20 pounds of organic Bartlett green pears. These are so beautiful, and they're pretty firm right now. So that's one thing I notice with a lot of the produce that Azure ships, is that they are picking and shipping before the peak of ripeness, right? And so a lot of these things can ripen during the transit time and in your home. And so these are still really firm. Like, this is not a pear I'd want to bite into, which is great because it gives me a little time to work through that and figure out what I want to do. For these, I will probably also make some freeze-dried pear chips. And we're gonna have some of these for fresh eating up in our kind of fruit basket that hangs over here. And I plan to also maybe even make some pear sauce and just do some fun things with that. I only got two 25-pound bags of things this time. Usually there's a lot more, but this is spelt organic, 100% organic whole spelt grain. I have a mock mill over on the counter, and we, for the last 3 years now, grind all of our own flour on demand, and spelt was one of the ones that I was low on. And this is a 25-pound bag of organic cane sugar. I try to buy these items in bulk. I'll show you how I store them, but it just keeps me from running to the store more often for those types of things. And I'm actually paying much less per ounce or per pound, however it's varied comparatively to those smaller sizes. All right, came over to a different part of the kitchen. I bought 3 jars of the Once Again unsweetened creamy peanut butter. We normally buy this with the organic version. They were sold out, so I have 3 of the same unsweetened creamy, just the non-organic. It is non-GMO. It's really good peanut butter. The other thing I love about this is I get to use these jars and use things to save spices or seeds later on whenever I have really useful glass jars. And I talked about this, I think, in a few videos ago. Always save them. Take the labels off and reuse them, repurpose them. And that way you're not using maybe some of your canning jars for things that don't necessarily need to be canned. Got 12 pounds of raw wildflower honey, berry wildflower honey, pure honey. We have our own bees. I have about 3 gallons of honey left, which will plenty last us. But because I wanted to make the mead and I wanted to do a few other things, I decided just to go ahead and invest in this 1 gallon of raw honey. Another new purchase for us, because the honey is a new purchase, is this case of 8 Santa Cruz organic, 100% organic lemon juice. Okay, and then instead of getting a case of the lime juice, I just got 1 bottle of the lime juice. Again, pure lime juice, not concentrate. This is my first repeat purchase of this. I got a case of 3, the Toonie Mooney Organic Vanilla Marshmallow Cream. Who doesn't love fluff in a fluffernutter sandwich? I mean, really. But fluff is gross. And I'm not gonna say this is like a million times better, but it's better. And so this is organic tapioca syrup, which is sugar. I mean, let's be real, it is sugar. organic cane sugar. So 2 first ingredients are sugar, natural spring water, organic dried egg whites, and vanilla extract. And so this is just kind of a treat if we want to make a healthier version of Rice Krispie treats, or if we are pressed for time either before school in the morning or after school before evening activities and we just need a quick snack. I will make my kids a peanut butter and marshmallow cream sandwich just to kind of give them a little burst of energy as well as some protein with that peanut butter and help stave off their tummies until dinner time. So I have another new purchase. This is a case of 6 of the Knudsen apple juice cider and spice. And so it can be used as apple cider. I guess it could be considered apple juice, but it does have those kind of fall mulling spices within it. Did get 1 more pound of organic raisins, 1 pound of spearmint leaf cut and sifted, 1 pound of rose hips. This is organic cut and sifted rose hips, 20 pounds of organic butternut squash. And they are beautiful. 20 pounds of organic sweet potatoes from Azure, and these are also beautiful. Again, I'll show you how I plan to store everything. I want to make sure that I'm going through and kind of checking and feeling every potato so that if there are any that have some questionable spots, they get eaten first. Okay, moving along, I've got 3 pounds of organic red onions. Incidentally, every time I buy the 3 pounds, I end up with 3 onions. That's how big the onions are when I get them from Azure, and they're perfect, right? So I don't even have to use a whole onion at every instance, but about 1 pound an onion is what I'm getting. 5 pounds of organic garlic grown right here in the United States from Azure Standard. This garlic is beautiful. Look how large and tight those heads are. 5 pounds of organic russet potatoes. We also did get 10 pounds of organic red potatoes. We are out of potatoes in our house, and so I really prefer to buy these in bulk from Azure. Again, I will share how I'm going to store this all in a little bit, but we got 10 pounds of the red and 25 pounds of the yellow. So I got 5 5-pound bags. You can buy the potatoes in a larger box, like all of my apples, pears, butternut, and sweet potatoes came in, and it's actually the same exact price. It's the same price to get 5 5-pound bags versus 1 25-pound box. I chose the bags because of how I plan to store everything. So I would recommend you just think about that when you're buying your potatoes, how you plan to store, and what's going to be easier for you. Let's go into the fridge because I have a few things in there that I purchased from Azure that I had to get in there pretty quickly. I have 6 pounds of organic leeks. This is a 3-pound bag, so you can see how many comes in a 3-pound bag, and I got 2 of these, so 6 pounds total. Tip, you can take the green tops, wash them, chop them, dehydrate them or freeze dry them, powder them, and then you have a really great kind of leek powder to season your foods with also. These are organic Brussels sprouts. I got 2 2-pound bags. So this is a 2-pound bag, almost the size of my head. 1 pound of organic turmeric root. This is an 8-ounce bag. I got 2 8-ounce bags. All right, we're winding down here. These are the Mary's organic chicken thighs. I got 6 of these packages. What I have found is there's usually 3 chicken thighs per package. These are the bone-in, skin-on. You can also purchase the boneless and skinless. And so I also got 6 packages of the Mary's organic chicken breasts. These are obviously boneless, skinless, a little bit more versatile. So 6 each of those. I also got 2 spray bottles of all-purpose cleaner and then 1 spray bottle of this citrus fragrance odor and stain eliminator. I now need to get everything put away, and I'm going to share with you how I'm going to do that. So this is a spare refrigerator we keep in our garage. Now, mostly we've got some waters, we do have some alcoholic beverages, and then I've got all of our fermented items. So we've got 2 gallons of different types of sauerkraut, fermented pickles, and about 1 gallon of fermented salsa. And then I keep parsnips and carrots down in this drawer. And I always try to make sure I have room for the potatoes. So we store the potatoes most of the year in this refrigerator because it just keeps them from sprouting. Next, we're going to tackle the garlic. I have a basket here of our homegrown garlic from this past summer. I'm going to just kind of take that out, clean out this basket, put this garlic on the bottom, and then put my garlic a little bit off to the side so I make sure I pick from that first. Get our fresh garlic in here. I mean, it just looks so much prettier. Plus, when you have it displayed or, you know, stored in a way that is visually appealing, you're just apt to grab it more also. So I'm just gonna make sure I always take from our garlic first, and then we'll go to the newer garlic. Okay, we're here in our pantry overflow, the dining room. We call it so many different things, but that's where we are right now. And I have this little hutch here that I purchased, I don't know, maybe 6 or 8 months ago from a local kind of antique or vintage show at our fairgrounds. And I love it. So I am going to store a lot of our potatoes and squash in here. I already have some squash, little baby spaghetti squash, some butternut, acorn, and these are our pie pumpkins. These are all things that we grew in our garden. And then the second one is empty. I just cleaned that out and vacuumed that out. So I'm going to try to get the potatoes down here and the squash up here. So now that the potatoes and squash are put away, I'm going to tackle the onions. I have these hanging kind of nylon, breathable, ventilated bags that I have been using for our onions for years. You basically kind of stack your onions in, and then there's some Velcro snaps where you can open it up and get an onion out. And they can hang in your pantry, they can hang in your kitchen. You know exactly how many onions you have. I really like these. I'm going to use one of these for our red onions since there's only 3. As for my 40 pounds of yellow onions that are here at my feet on the floor, I am actually going to keep them in that box here in our pantry and just work through them. I still do have 2 bags of onions from the previous order, so I've got 8 onions left that you just saw me kind of hang the red ones next to. Those will get used first, and then the ones in the box will get worked through that way. But the best way I can store those right now is just here in our room temperature in that box, and check them periodically. The rest of these apples and pears are just gonna stay in these boxes for now. I will probably move them up to the front room. I wanna make sure that we're cycling through them really over the next couple of weeks. The pears are gonna be more important than the apples. The apples will last a lot longer, but the pears I'm gonna make sure I use up and we have things done with them before they get too soft and mushy. But right now we've got our fresh eating stuff, and then those will be preserved in different ways over the next couple of weeks. So what's left are my 25-pound bag of spelt and sugar. I keep that in 5-gallon buckets with the Gamma lid. I just have to wash my buckets because they're out on the deck right now, because they were buckets I had used to haul water to our homestead garden. So they need to be washed out, perfectly dried, and then I'll put everything in there. I don't actually empty the paper bag of contents into the bucket like most people probably do. I actually kind of stuff the bag in. I'll rearrange the contents so that the bottom of the bag can fit into the bucket, and then I'll kind of push the air out and do what I need to do. But I actually keep the contents in the paper bag in the bucket. And then those buckets are either stored into our small closet under our stairs or in our front overflow pantry. So what's left are my lime juice, lemon juice, apple cider, the honey, the rose hips, and the mint. The rose hips and the mint I'm just gonna put into some containers that go into my office where we have kind of like our apothecary, all of our jars there. And then the honey, the cider, lemon juice is probably gonna go into the front pantry. I'll find some shelving space. And then the lime juice, since I already got that one bottle, I'm just gonna put that in our little pantry here in the closet kitchen. And then everything is put away. I just have to keep working on that overflow pantry and getting that organized. Thank you for joining me today. I still feel a little overwhelmed, but I have to be honest, having a little bit more counter space in the island space and things put away, it feels better. It feels good. So we will tackle one room at a time, one thing at a time. Stay healthy, stay well. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.